So in case of aqueous solution of electrolytes like NaCl, KCl, CaCl2, more number of particles are formed due to dissociation. That already I told you in the last lecture. Actually we are discussing here colligative properties of electrolytes, and the colligative property, it is directly proportional to number of solute particles. Colligative property of dilute solution containing non-electrolyte solute, it is given by these relations. That is relative lowering of vapor pressure, it is inversely proportional to molar mass. Elevation in boiling point, it is also inversely proportional to molar mass. Depression in freezing point, it is also inversely proportional to molar mass. And osmotic pressure is also inversely proportional to molar mass. So colligative property, it is inversely proportional to molar mass, and based on this we can now see here, in case of aqueous solutions of electrolytes like sodium chloride, potassium chloride, calcium chloride, because of dissociation more number of particles are formed, and therefore expected colligative property is more, because colligative property is directly proportional to number of particles. At the same time, the molar mass, it will be less than the expected, because molar mass is inversely proportional to colligative property. And here 3 points we need to consider for the electrolyte. Point number 1 is the electrolytes do not obey, or electrolytic solutions do not obey relations of non-electrolytes. So these relations, these are not obeyed by the solutions of electrolytes. Value of colligative property is more than expected, as already I told you, because of dissociation more number of particles are formed for electrolytes, and therefore colligative property is more than expected. And molar mass is less than expected, because colligative property is inversely proportional to molar mass. So to calculate extent of dissociation and colligative property of electrolyte solution, Van 't Hoff suggested one important constant, that is a factor represented by small I. So here we are going to discuss now Van 't Hoff factor I. Now Van 't Hoff factor I, it is the ratio of observed number of solute particles upon theoretical number of solute particles, or Van 't Hoff factor I, it is the ratio of the colligative property of electrolyte upon colligative property of non-electrolyte. So Van 't Hoff factor I, it is observed colligative property or theoretical colligative property, or it is a ratio of observed elevation in boiling point upon theoretical elevation in boiling point, that is equal to observed depression in freezing point upon theoretical depression in freezing point, that is equal to observed lowering of vapor pressure upon theoretical lowering of vapor pressure, or that is equal to observed osmotic pressure and theoretical osmotic pressure. Now what is the difference between observed colligative property and theoretical colligative property? Actually observed colligative property, it is maybe because of, for example, electrolyte when dissociates and we get more value of colligative property than expected, that is observed colligative property. And theoretical colligative property, it is because of, or it is the value calculated or obtained considering there is no dissociation of electrolyte. For example, if NaCl is added in water, there is a dissociation and gives two particles or ions, Na plus and Cl minus. So observed number of ions are 2 and theoretical number of particle is 1, that is NaCl. and therefore for NaCl Ventov factor I is 2. Observed number of particles are 2 and theoretical particle is 1. So 2 upon 1, that is 2. And therefore colligative property for NaCl is double than the expected. So that is the observed colligative property. But theoretical colligative property is actually we are considering or obtain that colligative property by considering there is no dissociation, that is only NaCl forms 1 mole of NaCl particles in solution. So as colligative property is inversely proportional to molar mass, we can write here Ventov factor I, it is equal to theoretical molar mass upon observed molar mass. Now modification of expression of colligative properties. So based on Ventov factor I, so we are going to modify the colligative property relations calculated for non-electrolyte solution by multiplying each and every term by Ventov factor I. So in order to make applicable for electrolytic solutions, the expressions of colligative properties are modified by multiplying Ventov factor I. For example, relative lowering of vapor pressure, it is equal to I into W2 M1 by M2 W1. So here the right side term is multiplied by Ventov factor I. Similarly, delta TF, it is equal to I into Kf W2 1000 by M2 W1. Again the right side term is multiplied by Ventov factor I. Similarly, delta TB is given by this equation, the right side term is multiplied by Ventov factor I. Osmotic pressure pi, it is equal to I into W2 RT by M2 V. Again the right side term is multiplied by Ventov factor I. So these equations are now applicable for the solutions containing electrolytic solution. Electrolyte. Now Ventov factor and degree of dissociation. There are two types of electrolytes, weak electrolyte and strong electrolyte. A strong electrolyte undergoes 100% dissociation in solvent, that is water, but weak electrolyte dissociate to the small extent. 100% dissociation is not there. So when weak electrolyte is dissolved in solution, its dissociation is incomplete. As an example, suppose acetic acid is added in water. Acetic acid is a weak electrolyte. It undergoes partial dissociation and gives less number of ions, that is acetate ion and H plus ion, than expected. 100% dissociation is not there. Whereas when NaCl is added in water, being a strong electrolyte, it undergoes 100% dissociation and there is a formation of Na plus and Cl minus ion. There is a 100% dissociation. तर दोन एक्झाम्पल आपण बघितले. एक ॲसिटिक ॲसिड हा वीक इलेक्ट्रोलाइट आहे. वॉटरमध्ये जर 1 मोल इलेक्ट्रोलाइट ॲसिटिक ॲसिड वीक इलेक्ट्रोलाइट ॲड केला तर 100% डिसोसिएशन होणार नाही. पण 1 मोल पैकी आउट ऑफ 1 मोल मे बी 0.2 मोल, 0.1 मोल और 0.3 मोल्स ऑफ ॲसिटिक ॲसिड गेट्स डिसोसिएटेड. म्हणजे कमी डिसोसिएशन होईल, पूर्ण 1 मोलचं डिसोसिएशन होणार नाही आहे. पण ते सोडियम क्लोराईड जर वॉटरमध्ये ॲड केलं तर जर 1 मोल ॲड केला असेल तर पूर्ण सोडियम क्लोराईड काय होईल, डिसोसिएट होईल. हा दोन्हीचा फरक आहे. नाउ the fraction of total number of moles of weak electrolyte that undergoes dissociation, it is called as degree of dissociation, denoted by alpha. म्हणजे 1 मोल जर वीक इलेक्ट्रोलाइट वॉटर मध्ये ऍड केला तर 1 मोल पैकी किती डिसोसिएट झाला, 0.2 जर डिसोसिएट झाला असेल तर डिग्री ऑफ डिसोसिएशन किती असेल, 0.2. जर 0.3 मोल डिसोसिएट झाला तर डिग्री ऑफ डिसोसिएशन काय असेल, 0.3. So it is a fraction, the number is less than 1. maybe 0.8, 0.5, 0.3 like that. म्हणून डेफिनेशन काय आहे डिग्री ऑफ डिसोसिएशनची द फ्रॅक्शन ऑफ total moles of weak electrolyte that undergoes dissociation, it is called as degree of dissociation, and it is given by this formula. Degree of dissociation, that is alpha, it is equal to number of moles of solute dissociated upon total number of moles of solute added. As an example, suppose, as I said, when 1 mole acetic acid is added and out of that suppose 0.2 moles dissociates, the number of moles dissociate, it will be 0.2, and number of moles solute added, that will be 1. So 0.2 by 1, that is equal to 0.2. त्या केसमध्ये ॲसिटिक ॲसिडचं डिग्री ऑफ डिसोसिएशन किती असेल 0.2. Now the relation between Vent Hoff factor and degree of dissociation. Now consider 1 mole of weak electrolyte AxBy. It is added in suitable solvent, and part of this electrolyte undergoes dissociation in the solution. For example, AxBy, when added in solvent, we get x moles of Ay plus, that is the cations, and y moles of Bx minus. So these are the anions. So there is a formation of cations and anions. Reaction is, or this process, dissociation process is reversible. 100% dissociation is not there. And suppose initially 1 mole of this weak electrolyte is taken. Initially there will be no cations and anions. So initial moles of cations and anions are 0. Now after some time equilibrium will be maintained between ions and the undissociated weak electrolyte, and at equilibrium suppose x moles of cations are formed and x moles alpha moles of cations are formed and alpha moles of anions are formed, and therefore the number of moles of weak electrolyte remain undissociated at equilibrium, that will be 1 minus alpha, because initial number of mole is 1, and out of that alpha moles are dissociated. It means the number of moles remained at equilibrium, that will be 1 minus alpha. Now the total number of moles of ions obtained after dissociation, that will be x plus y. Actually x moles of alpha are formed and y moles of alpha anions are formed, and therefore total number of ions, that is cations and anions, that will be x plus y, that is equal to n. And the total number of particles in the solution at equilibrium, that is the sum of all these ions as well as undissociated weak electrolyte. So that is equal to 1 minus alpha plus x into alpha plus y into alpha. Now when we simplify this, it is equal to 1 plus alpha into bracket x plus y minus 1, or that is equal to 1 plus alpha into bracket n minus 1. Now the moles of ions obtained after dissociation, that already I told you, it is equal to x plus y, that is equal to n. So Vent Hoff factor I, it is observed number of particles upon theoretical number of particles. So it is equal to 1 plus alpha into n minus 1. So these are the observed number of particles upon 1. This is the theoretical number of particles, because initially 1 mole of weak electrolyte is taken. So I is given by this relation, and therefore alpha is equal to I minus 1 upon n minus 1. So from actually when this equation is written for alpha, then it comes alpha is equal to I minus 1 upon n minus 1. So in this way we completed theory part of the second chapter, that is solutions. Now we are going to solve some problems on the second chapter, that is solutions, and the important formulae are, so first formula is, so according to Raoult's law, partial pressure of any component, it is the product of mole fraction of that component into vapor pressure in pure state. So partial pressure of solvent, that is P1, it is equal to mole fraction of solvent into vapor pressure of solvent in pure state. Or partial pressure of component 2 may be solute, volatile solute, it is equal to mole fraction of volatile solute into vapor pressure of that second component or solute in pure state. Total pressure P, it is given by this formula. Total pressure, it is the sum of partial pressures of component 1 and component 2, and the relative lowering of vapor pressure, it is given by this formula. I, it is Ventov factor into W2 M1 by M2 W1. So elevation in boiling point, that is delta TB, it is given by Kb into M. Kb is a ebullioscopic constant, M is molality. Delta TB also, it is equal to I, that is Ventov factor I, into Kb W2 1000 upon M2 W1. W1 is in gram. Depression in freezing point, it is given by this formula. Delta TF, it is equal to Kf into M. Kf is a cryoscopic constant, M is molality, and this relation is applicable for non-electrolytic solution. And for electrolytic solution, if you apply this solution, you need to multiply this right side term by I, Ventov factor I. Similarly, delta TF is equal to I into Kf W2 1000 by M2 W1. Osmotic pressure, it is equal to Ventov factor I into W2 RT upon M2 V, and this is the relation for Ventov factor I. It is the ratio of observed colligative property upon theoretical colligative property. So this already we explained in, we discussed in last lecture. Now the first problem, 0.1 molar solution of potassium sulfate in water has a freezing point of minus 0.43 degree centigrade. What is the value of Ventov factor I if Kf, that is cryoscopic constant, for water is 1.86 Kelvin kilogram per mole? So this cryoscopic constant for water is fixed, it is a constant 1.86. Here one correction is there in textbook, there is a printing mistake, so minus 4.3 degrees centigrade is printed there, but it should be minus 0.43 degrees centigrade. Now given molality is given, molality of potassium sulfate is given. Potassium sulfate is a electrolyte, and after dissociation it gives 3 ions, 2K plus and 1 SO4 minus minus, and it is a electrolyte. So molality M, it is equal to 0.1. So freezing point of solution is given minus 0.43 degree centigrade. Freezing point of pure solvent, that is water, it is fixed 0 degree centigrade, and freezing cryoscopic constant, it is given 1.86. Now the formula is delta TF, that is depression in freezing point, it is equal to TF0 minus TF. Actually TF0, it is the freezing point of solvent which is greater than the freezing point of solution, that is TF. So freezing point of water is 0 minus freezing point of solution is given minus 0.43. So when we calculate this, we get 0.43. So this is the delta TF, that is depression in freezing point. Now for electrolytic solution, we can write delta TF is equal to I into Kf into M, where I is Ventov factor. So when we rearrange this, I is equal to delta TF upon Kf into M. So this is equal to, just we substitute the values. So it is equal to 0.43, it is delta TF, upon 1.86, this is Kf, into 0.1, this is the molality. And when we calculate this, it comes 2.311. So this is the Ventov factor I for potassium sulfate. Only here important thing is, for non-electrolytic solution, delta TF is equal to Kf into M. But for electrolytic solution, you need to multiply the right side term by Ventov factor I. This is most important. And potassium sulfate is a electrolytic salt, or it is a strong electrolyte, and therefore here you have to use the modified colligative property expression. Now the next problem, the osmotic pressure of calcium chloride and urea solutions of the same concentration at the same temperature are respectively 0.605 atmosphere and 0.245 atmosphere. Calculate Ventov factor for calcium chloride. So osmotic pressures are given. Osmotic pressure for calcium chloride and urea are given like this. For calcium chloride, osmotic pressure is 0.605 atmosphere, and for urea, osmotic pressure is 0.245 atmosphere. Here difference is, calcium chloride is a electrolyte and urea is a non-electrolyte. There is no dissociation of urea, but calcium chloride undergoes dissociation and forms ions, and hence gives more number of particles in solution. So this is the main difference between these two solutes. Now Ventov factor I, this is the ratio of colligative property of electrolyte upon colligative property of non-electrolyte. Here calcium chloride is a electrolyte and urea is a non-electrolyte, and therefore it is equal to 0.605. This is the osmotic pressure of electrolyte, that is calcium chloride, upon 0.245. This is the colligative property or osmotic pressure of non-electrolyte, that is urea. When we solve this, it comes 2.469. So this is the Ventov factor I for calcium chloride. Next problem. Fish generally needs oxygen concentration in water at least 3.8 milligram per liter for their survival. What is the partial pressure of oxygen above the water is needed for the survival of fish, given the solubility of oxygen in water at 0 degree centigrade and at 1 atmospheric partial pressure is 2.2 into 10 raised to minus 3 moles per liter. Now here what is given? Concentration of oxygen required for the survival of fish, it is 3.8 milligram per liter. Solubility of oxygen is given at 0 degree centigrade and 1 atmospheric pressure, that is 2.2 into 10 raised to minus 3 moles per liter, and we need to calculate partial pressure of oxygen. Now here the molecular weight of oxygen is 32 gram, because atomic weight of oxygen is 16, and in one molecule of oxygen there are 2 oxygen atoms. So 16 plus 16, that is 32. Meaning of this is 32 gram oxygen corresponds to 1 mole of oxygen. Therefore, 3.8 milligram of oxygen, which is required for the survival of fish, it corresponds to how many moles of oxygen? So just we are first of all converting this 3.8 milligram into moles. So this is just cross multiplication. So 3.8 into 1, that is 3.8 upon 32. Actually here 32 it is in grams and 3.8 it is in milligram. Just to convert 32 gram into milligram, here we are going to multiply by 1000. So 3.8 upon 32 into 1000. Why 1000? To convert gram into milligram. So when we solve this, it comes 0.11875 into 10 raised to minus 3 moles per liter. So these many moles of oxygen dissolved in water, it is required for the survival of fish. Just we converted 3.8 milligram into moles per liter. Now next part of calculation is, already it is given that at 0 degree centigrade and 1 atmospheric pressure, partial pressure is solubility of oxygen is given 2.2 into 10 raised to minus 3 moles per liter. Meaning of this is 2.2 into 10 raised to minus 3 moles of oxygen corresponds to 1 atmosphere. So this much solubility of oxygen is at 1 atmospheric pressure, and therefore 0.11875 into 10 raised to minus 3 moles of oxygen, which is required for the survival of fish, corresponds to what pressure? So just this is again cross multiplication. It is 0.11875 into 10 raised to minus 3 into 1, that is 1 atmosphere, upon 2.2 into 10 raised to minus 3. This is the cross multiplication, and when we solve this, answer is 0.054 atmosphere. So this is the partial pressure of water that is required to maintain the concentration of dissolved oxygen equal to 0.11875 into 10 raised to minus 3 moles per liter, and this concentration required for the survival of fish. Now next problem, the vapor pressure of water at 20 degree centigrade is 17 mm of mercury. What is the vapor pressure of solution containing 2.8 gram urea in 50 gram of water? Now given data, vapor pressure of solvent in pure state, actually solvent is water, so vapor pressure of water in pure state, it is given 17 mm of mercury. Partial pressure we are going to calculate. So weight of solute is given 2.8 gram, weight of solvent is given 50 gram, that is water, molecular weight of urea is 60 gram, and molar mass of water is 18 gram. So this is the formula. Relative lowering of vapor pressure, it is given by W2 M1 upon M2 W1. So just to substitute the value of P10 and W2 M1 M2 and W1, and just to find out the partial pressure. So 17 minus P1 upon 17, that is equal to, when we solve this right side term, it comes 0.0168, and finally 17 minus P1, that is equal to 0.2856, and hence P1 is equal to 16.17 mm of mercury. So this is the answer.